All right, look, the brand new Civic Type R is finally here. Back in 2017, the Civic Type R came out swinging. Tons of power going straight to the front wheels, great handling, red seats, you name it, it checked all the Type R boxes. It handled great and was a ton of fun to drive. Side note, my voice is just a hair raspy because I just got married 2 days ago, so bear with me in this intro. But don't worry, the rest of the video I sound just fine. But the only problem with the brand new Type R isn't really the car itself, in my opinion, is it different enough to conquer the big fat 2-letter elephant in the room? And that is what we're gonna talk about today. So is the new Civic Type R enough of an update to rock your socks off? Let's go for a drive and find out. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the brand new Civic Type R. The Type R brand has been around 30 years now, which is pretty hard to believe. So getting straight into it, what is different about this one to the previous generation? Because the previous generation was pretty good. It's really good, actually. Have lots of seat time in it. I really enjoyed it. And even when you did bolt-ons on it, it was really great. Okay, that's pretty rad. There's like an F1 style shift light up at the top with physical lights. Like, it's not like a thing in the digital dash. So that's really neat. And it's perfect in your peripheral vision, seeing it come up and back, especially when you have wheel spin in a front wheel drive car that's this fast. So this has 315 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That is very similar to the last engine in the last car, but just kind of upgraded in a few ways. It has improved engine cooling. It has a new turbocharger. It is 9:8:1 compression ratio. The engine cooling has been improved. One thing I'm like kind of struggling to get my head around is they're advertising this as the most powerful Honda ever sold in the United States, which is true. But car guys know that Acura and Honda are kind of the same thing. So I'm like, well, what about the NSX? Oh, right, it's an Acura here, but it's a Honda everywhere else in the world. So that's just kind of a funny thing to think about.
Putting this baby in R mode.
I used to drag here back in high school. Are you gasoline and gears?
Yep.
Are you gears and petrol? Wow, from the outside, it doesn't sound amazing. Not gonna lie.
Launch control.
You mean your foot?
No.
What do you think of the car from the outside, Ben, like appearance-wise?
I love it.
Yeah?
I love it. It's fat, but not like too fat.
One thing you'll notice is that the headlight sits almost behind the grille. It's really interesting. So you have this grille kind of stick out here and this kind of scoop into the front bumper. We do have mostly functional vents in the car, but there are some that are unfunctional. Also, the side skirt actually directs air past here, which is pretty neat. And one of the biggest debates about the Type R in the last generation was the engine cooling. Some people seem to have engine cooling on track and some people didn't. It was kind of a divisive subject that nobody seemed to get a clear answer on, in my opinion. No matter what racetrack I went to, it was like, oh yeah, mine overheats or mine doesn't overheat or it's driver error. It was kind of a hard thing to figure out if it was a real thing or not. But this one, right off the bat, sounds different. And the first one of my biggest complaints was that it didn't sound like a Honda. Yes! Like, it just didn't really have that crazy VTEC sound, right? Is it as loud and aggressive as that naturally aspirated one? No. But it still has a little bit more personality with this new exhaust system. We still have the triple trumpet looking exhaust on the back, and of course the middle one is bigger than the sides. The biggest competitor to this car arguably is the Corolla GR, which also has 3 exhausts on it, or 3 exhaust tips on it. It still has a 6-speed transmission and a lighter flywheel. I could not imagine the Civic Type R any other way. Like, this car without the manual transmission would be just bizarre. It just wouldn't feel right. And to get that horsepower, the turbocharger throws out 25 pounds of boost from the factory. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the brand new looks to the Type R. Man, a lot of people can't really make up their mind on this one because the last one was very boy racer, had a lot of crazy aerodynamics on it, and was just like a spaceship. Like it was a wild looking car, and some people said it was over stylized. So then they dial the style back, and then the internet goes crazy and says, oh, now it's not styled enough. And I think the biggest thing with that is the wing. The wing seems to be the big thing a lot of people look at and go, that just doesn't seem right. Or quote unquote, it seemed like an afterthought. And you can kind of see that because the one in the previous generation was color matched and it felt more attached to the car. This is a 2-post wing, like a functional 2-post wing that you would buy to put on your race car. It has much more of an aftermarket looking feeling to it. And you can argue that that's good or bad, it's up to you. When you face the car directly from the rear, it doesn't look too out of place, but if you see that side profile, you kind of see what people are saying about it, like why their opinion is that way. Think about the Type R that made it so great in the last generation was how good it was at canyon carving. You get that Honda limiter, man. And the limited slip does a really good job of keeping you, I love that the aero in this car is functional. It doesn't just look like it's there. The rev matching system has been improved even more, and it was really good in the last car. Good thing is, you can turn it on and off if you want. The brakes, dude. I did have one instance earlier where I hit a patch of some gravel or something and it understeered really, really bad, but it's because I hit a patch of gravel, so that was kind of scary. The extra torque is extremely helpful as well. So let's talk about the interior. The interior of this car is very similar to the last one, but also, of course, similar to the 11th gen Civic Si. The steering wheel is a fantastic steering wheel, feels really good in your hands. You have a 10.2-inch infotainment screen, a full digital dash, and what's cool is in each mode, it changes everything that's going on the dash. Now, like I said before, I love that the shift light is actually physical and not built in to the digital dash. I think it's a really nice touch. You wanna hear the least intimidating horn in the world? Another thing about the Type R is that they actually have a good selection of colors to really bring out the body lines of this thing. This car in white looks fantastic. It looks the part with the red carpet, the red seats, all that. Speaking of the interior, the seats are very similar to the last one, but they're not exactly the same. They're a little bit more of a bucket. They're a little more slanted on the bottom. Turning radius is not good. It's 265 square all the way around. At the same time, the car, for some reason, I feel as though it needs to be just this much lower. It just has a little bit much of a wheel gap for my taste, but that's one, coilover away or whatever. This car is $42,800 something bucks, basically $43,000. And if you look at it, there's a big fat Corolla elephant in the room. And the GR Corolla in this, although they're probably the closest competitors with one another, they drive very, very differently. The GR with its multiple differential setups with all-wheel drive feels very different than this car. It does have lower power, but at least on the street, I feel a little bit more confident in that car. Today's road conditions aren't great. There's a lot of gravel and stuff on the road, so take all this, what I'm saying, with a grain of salt. This car feels very similar to the last car, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just faster. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit wider in the front as well. The track width is a little bit more, but also, just like the last car, you have plenty of seating in the back seat. It has a big giant hatch in the back with a ton of storage space. This car just makes you want to downshift all the time and just stay in the high RPM all the time in the true Honda fashion. At the end of the day, the brand new Civic Type R is an update of the old Civic Type R. I don't mean that in a mean way. The last one was a really great car, and this is a really great car. It's fast enough for most people. It's really good around corners. It feels good. It's comfortable overall. It's a Civic Type R. It's exactly what the name advertises. I upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye. This video is brought to you by Patterson Car Care. Get double of premium original detail product for half the price. Head over to PattersonCarCare.com or go to the link in the description below.